Hey, welcome to Aussie Online Growing on Shopify. This is episode 102, and it's about Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and my strategy around it. It's a bit of a follow-up episode. This is probably the third episode I've done on this topic, and there's a couple more planned. This episode, though, is specifically about your website pop-up. I have Klaviyo, so my website pop-up is built inside Klaviyo. But no matter what email CRM you are using or what website platform you have, this episode is going to be all about a website pop-up and why I think it's really important to have one, and particularly critical if you haven't done it before in the next several weeks in the lead up to Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and why you might want to consider adding a website pop-up to your e-commerce store. And because I'm doing all of this top of funnel effort towards driving a conversion at Black Friday via email, you are going to get the most bang for your buck at Black Friday via email. You will get sales via ads if you run ads. You definitely will. If you've done it before, you know they're awfully expensive, but it doesn't mean they're not profitable. So you will get like sales if you do that strategy as well. That will be different episodes that gets closer to Black Friday. But for now, you want to be building your email list. So this episode is a bit of an encouragement from me and a reminder and a bit of motivation maybe to set some time aside, if you haven't already, to decide what things you should be doing now and over the coming weeks towards building your email list. I'm recording this in very early October, and I'm going to be heading on a holiday next week. So you won't get this published for several weeks. So by the time this episode is published, you should really be setting time aside, if you haven't already, to do something towards deciding your strategy for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And so if you haven't already done it by the time this episode comes out, or if you do have a pop-up and you're listening to this episode, go back and look at the metrics. What percentage of people are opting in to your website pop-up? And I want to tell you what I did to refresh mine and the statistics I have from that, and also the best practices for building a website pop-up. This time of year, as we head into these shopping seasons and these shopping periods of time, don't be scared to email your email list. So like I said, I'm working towards building my email list towards conversion at Black Friday via email. People expect to hear from you over that weekend and in the weeks before and after. Like the shopping season of Black Friday is stretched out now. It's not even just 4 days. It's a crazy amount of time. But let's just assume you want to keep it constrained to pretty well around those 4 days, maybe a week. People expect to hear from you in that time. If someone is subscribed to your newsletter, to your website, to your brand, to your business, they want to know what you've got to offer at this critical shopping time. They want to see something from you. They may even escape all the overwhelm of the advertising everywhere that bombards us online by going to email. You might find your customers go to their email waiting to hear from you and to see something from you for the opportunity to shop at Christmas, knowing they're going to get a bargain. There are so many reasons why this is a great time to be in front of your customers if you don't often do something at this time of year. And particularly if you don't send a lot of emails, this is a really great time to send many emails. Like I'll probably be sending like at least 5 across the week. I'll have to go back and look at how many I did last year. And I will have a couple of ads running as well. So the emails that people are going to get across this shopping period are because of all of this effort I'm doing now to build that list of people who are engaged with my email, with my business. So I'm going to be building that email list now, and this is one of the measures I am doing. So I've gone back to my pop-up and looked at it and quite critically analyzed it and made some changes to it. So please be in front of your customers as we get closer to this time. And do some effort now to build that list so that you can be in front of more of them who will be engaged across that weekend. So that your email deliverability will be better if they're already an engaged user as you build towards Black Friday. So I'm going to talk about ads in a different episode. I think I probably won't go into ads in this episode, but let's just go back to why I needed to refresh my pop-up and do some more top of funnel lead generation exercises. I ran a giveaway all through 2023 every month, a monthly giveaway. And that got me lots of new leads every month, like a couple of hundred new leads every month, which I then went through and cleaned and qualified. So I didn't keep all of them. I only kept the engaged ones. This year I haven't done that. And then in the last 6 months, I haven't run a giveaway. My email subscriber growth has really stagnated. It's still growing, but at a very small rate compared to all of last year. So I know I needed to do some more top of funnel exercises. I know I needed to bring that component back in because I had been doing a little bit, but not enough to grow my email list significantly. So when I looked at my statistics for August, how many email new subscribers I got for August with very little kind of deliberate effort towards growing that email list, I had 54, I think, through August. So it's growing at a very small rate off the back of that. You need a welcome series and a welcome flow or a thank you flow, something to stay in touch over a period of time with these new subscribers who've shown an interest in your brand. You should have at least 4 emails over 2 weeks. That's my suggestion as the starting point for this welcome series. People are only going to be in this flow when they first subscribe. So when you set up a welcome flow, or if you go back and check your existing flow to see, it should really only be going to people who haven't purchased yet. But the first email they're going to get goes to everybody, because the first email for me is a digital download. So it's like, thank you for signing up. Here's your digital download. Everybody gets that. I want everybody to get that, whether they've purchased or not. Otherwise, people who've previously purchased are never going to get it. So everybody gets the first email, and then I do a conditional split and trigger on different parameters. And at that point, it becomes people only continue in the welcome series if they haven't purchased yet. And then they'll get other emails over a period of time. Again, to keep them engaged and interested towards eventually more really deliberate salesy content from me as we get closer to Black Friday. If you listen to my previous episode, I actually talk about my Klaviyo click-through rate and how impressed I was with it. I didn't even realize it was so good. I knew it was okay, but I didn't realize how good it was. So those sorts of things are always good to check. Check what your benchmarks are and what's performing well and not performing well, and go back and look at your pop-up to see what percentage of people are submitting it and signing up and opting in the last 30 days or 90 days. So I went back to have a look at how mine was performing, and it was performing at about 3.5%, which is not terrible. It's not even bad, but I knew it could be better because this was obviously a deliberate effort. I wanted to refresh this pop-up as part of my Black Friday strategy. So I changed it up. And now in the last 7 days, this is only a 7-day window. So I would not make any major decisions. This really needs to be left for a whole month before I come back and change anything else or determine if it was a good change or not a good change. But for the sake of this episode and to tell you how it has been going in the last 7 days, the submit rate now on the form is over 9%. So it's over double what it previously was for the last year. And I've now got it up to over 9%. It will probably drop a little bit and then find its kind of balance. And I will be stoked if it sits at over 7% ongoing for an extended period of time. I could leave this now and for a year or more. The previous pop-up I had was at least a year, and it's evergreen content. Like, don't create something that's sales specific. You want a pop-up that can just be sit there and live there for you and do the work for you. It's now sitting over 9% for the last 7 days, which I'm really happy about. I want to encourage you to go and listen to, after this episode, there's a creator who I have followed for a very long time, and her name is Susan Bradley, and her podcast is called The E-Commerce Roadmap. I've spoken about her before, and you may have heard of her or found her for yourself. Her episode 27, which was from a few years ago now, is all about a pop-up. It's such a worthwhile episode to listen to. I'll link it in the show notes. I encourage you to go and listen to it afterwards if you haven't heard of her before, and go back and find that episode, like way back in her library, episode 27, because that episode will really give you similar content to what I'm saying. I built my pop-up based off of that episode back then a couple of years ago, and I've since used that as my guiding star, North Star, to then make changes in the last couple of years. That's a really worthwhile episode. So let me tell you what I did, and I will actually also link you to my website here so you can go and check out my pop-up for yourself, which I actually never do. I don't think I've hardly ever linked my e-commerce store here with the podcast, but I will, so that you can check out the pop-up for yourself if you want to look at it. If you submit and sign up to it, that's cool too. You'll see the welcome series off the back end of it. Don't then go mark my email as spam or unsubscribe everybody who does this when this goes live in the first few days, and then you'll kill my unsubscribe or my deliverability rate. So spread yourself out. Don't all unsubscribe as soon as you get the first email. Give it a little while before you unsubscribe, but at least go look at it and see it show up so you can see what it looks like. I changed it from a printable PDF to just an educational PDF. That was the first change I made because I'm aware that many people don't have printers anymore. So having something that was purely printable as a resource that you couldn't just get the benefit of by downloading it, I think was stopping people from submitting and signing up to my newsletter. So that's one change that I made. So I encourage you to think about that for yourself. Do you have a printer? Do you print much? Or would you rather access an educational download and then just have the digital file and not kind of be required to print it out to use it? So that's the first change I made. The next change I made is it's a meatier resource. It's got more in it. It took me a few hours to put together. So I spent a lot more time on it. But at the same time, it's actually less niche than my previous one. What I mean by that is my previous download was a design. So it depended what style you liked of crafting. It depended what you were into, what colors you liked, whether you thought it was something you wanted to download and print and keep. Whereas this new download is more educational. You can get the benefit of it just as a digital file. I don't need to print it. And it then, because it's not dependent on the design of it, the content inside it is what's valuable. It suits anyone in my niche. So it's more meatier. It's 3 pages long instead of 1 page, but the design doesn't matter. So anyone in my niche could find value in it because it's not dependent on what colors you like and what style you like. The aesthetics of it doesn't matter. And it's beneficial just as a digital file. So it doesn't need to be printed out. So they're the main changes I made in thinking about my customers and thinking about what would make more of them sign up when they see the pop-up than have previously, is that it's educational. You get the benefit of it by not printing it. And it serves more people in my niche rather than a very small segment of people in my niche. So there's some things for you to think about when going back to maybe refresh your own pop-up and have a look at how it's performing and consider making some changes to it and then look at it over a period of time to see how those changes are performing for you. The other thing I want to say about what I did is when actually building your pop-up, there's a few things logistically I think are really important so that anyone who comes to your website doesn't think it's a scam, doesn't get annoyed by it and doesn't bounce, but it's actually helpful to them, and you're going to get more signups because of these things. One of them is you need to have a very easy way for it to close, or they need to click on the outside of the pop-up to close it and make it go away. I like both. I would rather have it an actual cross that makes that you can close it, or a little link at the bottom that says no thank you to whatever the offer is so they can close it. That needs to be really obvious. If you have the text like no thank you, then make it red or something. And if you have a little cross on the pop-up to close it, make it a really contrasting color. Mine's bright green instead of white to make it obvious you can close it. The reason that's important is because you're going to add a teaser to the pop-up. This is one of the critical things about logistically how to set yours up that you'll be so happy you did, so that when they close it, it doesn't go away forever and you can't find it again. It shrinks to a tiny little thumbnail on their screen, on their mobile or on their desktop. Check the preview on your mobile preview for this. Make sure it's really mobile friendly because, of course, most of your traffic will be coming from mobile. Like 80% of my website traffic comes from mobile, probably the same with you. So check your mobile preview to see where your pop-up sits on the screen, where the little cross is to close it, and then where your teaser goes when you close it. So you can add a teaser in as part of building your sign-up form in Klaviyo. And then the teaser becomes a tiny little thumbnail that just sits on the screen with a bit of text on it. Mine says free. I think if yours is a discount, you could put like $10 or 10% or something like that. The important thing is that this stops people from, like, how many times do you go to a website and you see a pop-up and you just shut it instantly? But then after you look around a little bit, you decide maybe actually to buy something and then the pop-up's gone. Think, oh, now I actually want the 10% code that they had on that pop-up and I've closed it. Then, like, do I go off of the website, come back? Does it come back again? No. What about if I try tomorrow? Will it come back again? No. that's just not worth it. That's a headache for the customer. So make it easy. Just make the pop-up close to a little teaser preview. And then if they decide after a period of time of browsing your website that they do actually want to sign up to your newsletter after all, or they do want that coupon code after all, they can open it up again. Klaviyo is amazing for e-commerce, and then potentially other email CRMs do this as well. I'm not familiar if they do. The teaser part is a really critical part of logistically how your pop-up functions. The other thing is that it should take you to then a little confirmation window afterwards. A little confirmation window is so important with a pop-up or a lead generation magnet. And just let people know that, yes, that worked. And please go check your emails and please check your spam and junk folder. And also I've got on my confirmation message as well my email address. So if there's any issues, send me an email. So like, thank you, this is exciting. Go and check your free download. Go get it now to be in your inbox. Check your spam folder. If you have any issues, send me an email. So that's on the confirmation screen. So there's really three kind of windows or dialog boxes to this pop-up: the teaser, the actual opt-in, and then the welcome or the thank you page after that. Mine's time delayed as well. I think this is another important component, is that it shouldn't be the first thing that slams you in the face when you go to a website. When you land on a website for the first time, remember this is critical. Hey, we are driving cold traffic to our website with Facebook ads. These are people who have never seen your brand and not familiar with you. So they are new, and you want them to at least settle in to where they've landed on your website. So when they come to your website, don't have the pop-up show up instantly. It will grey out everything else, and users will just think it's a scam and go away. You want them to at least be there for a bit to at least understand, okay, this is for me. I know what this website is about. I've landed where I expected to land. Even if you only delay your pop-up for like 15 seconds or 10 seconds, I think mine's 15 at the moment, just set a time delay for a little bit on it before it shows up. So it's not the first thing they see. They see your website, your homepage, your banner image, probably some text or some copy that confirms to them they've landed in the right place. The other functionality I have is I've geo-targeted mine, so it's only showing to Australians. It doesn't go to my existing Klaviyo users. So if somebody is already a user in Klaviyo, it won't show up for them because they're already in my CRM. So they're already there. I need to go back and check. I haven't dug around enough to see about suppressed emails, whether it shows up for them or not. I'm going to think perhaps it doesn't show up for suppressed, but I'm actually not sure. I need to check that. But at the moment, I've got it's only showing up to people who aren't existing in my email newsletter list, because that's where I want people to grow. I'm trying to grow my newsletter list, my email list. That's why I only need it to show to people who aren't there yet. The other thing I think is important to remember with doing some sort of digital download, if you do a coupon code, it's probably a bit different. But if you do a digital download, is when they get the email after to say, here's your free resource, like, thanks for joining the club, welcome, this is great, so exciting, is don't have that document housed in OneDrive or Google Drive or Canva. You need them back on your website. Everything you do and all the content you have, as much as possible, needs to sit in your website. Any traffic you are driving needs to go to your website. You need people to be there more often than not. So you can upload the file into the content menu on Shopify under files, and then copy that link out and put it on a landing page. So build a page, just like a templated page. It doesn't need to be an actual fancy landing page. Don't spend $150 a month on a landing page plugin or widget or software just for this purpose. Just build yourself a page in Shopify, like your shipping policy is a page, your return policy is a page. Add the page there and put the link to the file on that page. Then their email that says, hey, exciting, here's your free download or your free something. That's where you want to house it. So don't send them a link to Canva or anywhere else. You want them back on your website. Anything you do in your email and things like that, send them back to your website. So you can house your PDF in your website. You can use the link from there and put it inside a page in Shopify, which is like a landing page. Just build a page and put a little welcome message there with an image of what they've got and a link to the file there. When I looked at my list growth, now that I've changed the pop-out up and I've refreshed it, like I said, this is just 7 days. This is not to make major decisions on, but just so you're aware and just for transparency, obviously, to just keep it real with you what's going on. It's just in the last week, I have now had 41 new email signups. Whereas before refreshing it, I had 60 something through the whole of August. And now I've changed it and refreshed it, put a bit more thought into it and the type of resource I'm offering. I've now had 41 in a week. So this is definitely worthwhile work when you are looking at building the top of funnel of your marketing funnel, your audience. You're trying to get in front of new people. You're trying to grow your email list. Revenue just from email made up 40% of my revenue through the whole of 2023. This year, it's a bit lower. When I looked recently, it's more like 30% this year through 2024, which is something I would like to work towards increasing again through 2025, but it's still a massive amount. 30% of all my revenue this year so far has been from email. Email is an asset. It adds value to your business. So efforts to grow your email list are not in vain. It's a worthwhile exercise for you as a business owner. And if you are sending the right sort of traffic to your website, then those leads will be good leads. If you're a new business, a new website, a new pixel, yeah, you're going to get a lot more junky traffic. So I've been advertising now with this website, my e-commerce store, for several years, and I've got thousands of data points with my pixel in Meta. So when I see how it's working now, then when you build a bit of a system like this, all the bits and pieces you do with this sort of work was probably half a day. That sort of work is one of those things that's a marathon. You are not going to see the results straight away for this sort of work. This is one of those foundational pieces that sits under my umbrella of email marketing in my steady e-commerce growth strategy that I know is kind of feels at the time like is this actually even worth it? But it will pay off over time. So if I can see how well my new pop-up is performing, and I already know I have a great click-through rate on my welcome series and my welcome flow, so I know my content in my welcome flow is good, why wouldn't I send more traffic to my website? Why wouldn't I spend more on traffic, good traffic, targeted traffic to get to my website when I know that the pop-up is good? At the moment, at 9% of people are opting in. I know the welcome series is good off the back because I have an open rate and a click rate on my emails and my welcome flow of like over 50%. So then it's a no-brainer. That is a system. That is setting up an actual system to continue to grow your e-commerce store. So you potentially don't have all of these pieces in place, or if you do have all of them, go back and have a look at how each of them is performing. Particularly after this episode, I encourage you to go look at your pop-up and go and see the stats and how many people have submitted and signed up, and think about if there's something you can do to boost that at this time of year to build your email list towards the goal of better conversions, more revenue, better sales, more customers, more stock out the door for Black Friday. And I'm really glad I did, because it had been over a year since I looked at the pop-up before now. And I'm really glad I've gone back and done that work. And now I feel really confident that I can get more bang for my buck in driving this traffic. And I'm plugging more of those leaky holes when I'm driving the traffic from Meta to my website, because more people are going to be jumping into this opt-in and to this pop-up. That's everything for me today. I encourage you to go have a look for yourself at your own pop-up. Go and find the e-commerce roadmap podcast from Susan Bradley. I'll link it in the show notes. I'll also link my website for my e-commerce brand in the show notes as well, which is theturtlejournal.com.au, and you can go and see my pop-up for yourself as well. But go and listen to Susan Bradley's episode all about pop-ups as well, which is her episode 27, like way back from when she started the podcast, which is I think soon after I found her. I kind of found her at episode 10 or 11, and I've followed her ever since. She's amazing. So well worth listening to. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for hanging out for this episode. I'd love to know what you guys are doing towards your Black Friday strategy. And if you've got something in place, if you haven't, by the time you're listening to this, you should really sit down and do that work this week. It's not too late to implement something, and it's not too late to make these small changes to your pop-up and potentially see a massive increase in submit rates and people signing up to your email list to help you get more revenue and more customers as we get closer and closer to Black Friday. So remember, my pop-up's gone from like 3.5% submit rate to now over 9%, which will probably drop a bit. I can confidently say I've doubled it. I've definitely doubled that statistic. I'm really pleased with this work. It was well worth it. It will be well worth it for you too. So I really encourage you to go and do this work for yourself. I don't think you'll regret it. If you need any assistance from me, you want to reach out for some support, of course, you know where you can find me at Aussie Online, growing on Shopify.com.au. As always, I'll see you next time. Keep learning.